We live, baby. Yeah. um, you already know it's Duval Brown, Back to the Classics podcast. We are doing a review on WandaVision, and of course, I'm here with Selena. Hi, Selena.
Hello.
I like your background. I like your hoodie.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
Thank
gotta
you.
floss
It's
that.
the
You
same
gotta
one
floss the
I wore
drip.
for Endgame.
Definitely. We got a chance to watch WandaVision, like obviously with everybody else that got Disney Plus last week. And we kind of sat on it for a little bit. Obviously, we got lives and stuff, but it was time to talk about it. We got 2 episodes, 2 servings, 2 scoops of WandaVision. And did you like WandaVision?
I did. I actually really loved it. I don't know if it's too early to say that I really loved it, but these two I absolutely loved.
Okay. I'm gonna say that for as weird as it was and as strange as it was, it left me very curious and I also loved it. And I already told Jay that I've been going through a Marvel drought. Like we haven't had any Marvel. So anything, I'll take anything at this point. You know what I'm saying? Even when I did my top 10 review, I was like, I want to go watch Shang-Chi. They're like, you want to see Shang-Chi? I'm like, yes, it's in my top 3.
Exactly. Like when I saw like the Marvel intro, I was like, oh God,
Oh,
I
yeah.
missed this. I have missed it. Like, yes, I rewatch different Avengers movies and Marvel movies and like their solo movies and everything, but it's not the same when
It's
it's
not.
brand
It's not.
new.
It's not. And what's crazy is seeing that logo and then seeing like all the new images that they put in the writing. And then
Ah,
it was dope. I was like, damn, this is going to be fire. But I haven't seen this logo. I haven't heard like the theme music. I haven't heard any of that. And this is literally phase 4. This is like a show that is inside of the MCU. I'm not taking any, discredit from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or any of the Netflix stuff, but this literally is a Marvel MCU show. Like it's tied,
the new era.
it connects definitely. So I thought that was fire. And then just the little subtle little touches, like then it turns black and white and then it gets smaller and then it's like, you about to go on a little weird little journey with us real quick. So yeah, I thought that was dope. So I guess the last time we seen Vision and Wanda was Infinity War.
What?
They had a rough one. They had a rough situation. Well, then again,
It,
we seen Wanda in Endgame too. So, but Vision for the most part,
Vision's not there. And,
yeah.
she told Thanos, like, you took everything from me. And he's like, I don't even know who you are.
You know what's crazy about that? They made that movie. You ever seen Old Boy?
Oh, it sounds familiar.
So Josh Brolin and like Elizabeth Olsen made this movie called Old Boy. It's a remake of like an Asian film or whatever, but Spike Lee
It's
directed it.
coming back to me. It's coming back to me.
But it's funny that they said that to each other because it's like, y'all were an Old Boy together. Don't lie, you seen her before. I don't even know who you are. Y'all had a whole sex scene. What are you talking about? So yeah, I love that. And I'm glad you brought that scene up. We got a chance to see Wanda, like, she's really powerful. Like if she really wanted to, she could have really rocked Thanos's shit. She could have got him. You know what I'm saying? Kevin Feige even said, yeah, he said she's the most powerful one. I said, okay. And she flexed it. I love like Okoye was like, why was she up there the whole time? We could have been using her. We over here getting fucked up. Yeah, you left her upstairs guarding Vision.
I was she up there the whole time.
Definitely. So some good callbacks, some excellent callbacks. Honestly, WandaVision starts off really like a TV land, Dick Van Dyke, Mary Tyler
I
Moore.
love
I'm
the
gonna try to name
DC.
everything. Like it did Andy Griffith. I felt like I watched every TV land show that I used to watch.
It's like the typical like feel good, like back to the 50s and 60s,
Right.
like
Like
family
straight
TV
up.
shows,
Right.
sitcoms.
Yeah.
And I loved how like it was so cheesy, like when Vision like blows her a kiss and she's like and goes to catch it,
Yeah.
and the funny little remarks and everything that they make with each other, and then you hear
Hmm.
the audience laughter and
Yeah, oh, the laugh tracks. Yeah, the laugh tracks was like, because that's what you got. You got like obviously no audience, but this is the cue to laughter. This is time for it to laugh type stuff. So
exactly.
yeah,
And how amazing does she look with those retro curls and the retro makeup
yeah.
and the dresses, even with the little apron on that she had.
She definitely had a Lucille Ball flow.
Yes,
She had her
like
I Love Lucy flow.
I was already pretty in love with Elizabeth Olsen, the
Yeah,
first Avengers movie that she was in, before
right,
I even knew she was like an Olsen sister.
right.
And then seeing her all cutesy and retro and vintage and everything, I was like, oh my God, I think I'm in love with her more than I am with Chris Evans.
Damn. Whoa. America's
I
ass
think,
got demoted? What?
I think.
Oh man, I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that. This is the first time I'm actually knowing that you demoted Chris Evans. That's hard. That's major.
It's like, it's like, it's like this.
Hmm. It's like there. She's cute. Like she's always kind of like had that cuteness to her. Like she's very adorable.
Natural beauty, yeah. And then just seeing her with like the cute little curly hair and everything, and you can tell she's not wearing a whole lot of makeup. I was like,
Nah. She's cute. She has like a really awesome personality. So that
mhm.
matches like her. She's very perky. And obviously the character has been dark. So this is literally going in a complete different direction. So I like it. It's
Yeah.
welcomed. It's welcome. Now, a lot of people are the DC fanboys. They're gonna be like, nah, you're just liking it because you like everything Marvel. Now, I call Marvel out on their shit. If something is corny, something is corny. Now, does
Something needs to
everything
be cut, we say it. Yeah.
definitely does everything work in these two episodes for me? No, it has a corniness to it, but in defense of the corniness, I know exactly why these things were done, and it was done on purpose. They legitimately went out of their way to make it feel like that. Like you literally feel like you're watching an episode of Leave It to Beaver or something. Like, okay, this is literally one of them storylines, but you still get the Easter eggs. You still get things are happening, and it's reminding you like, yo, you in an episode of a weird Marvel Twilight Zone Outer Limits episode, and you got to find your own clues to why things are the way it is.
Exactly.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. As we get into the lore of the WandaVision world, obviously Vision, he has a regular job. He has like
Yeah.
a whole, and he's good at his job. Obviously, like he's like, what do we do here? What's going on here? He's like, yo, I don't know. Okay, so I sort all these papers. What are the papers for? He's like, just so to sort them. He's like, so he's asking all the right questions, but he's getting no answers, basically.
At all.
The two other movies that come to mind when it comes to this one is Stepford Wives. Not exactly Stepford Wives, but it feels like everything is robotic. Everything is not real.
Stepford Wives-esque.
Yes,
Like,
Stepford Wives-esque for sure. And then my last one is obviously Truman Show, where you just feel like there is a bigger substance watching them, or a bigger situation, and they're just basically on display. Like, we're just watching you just perform for us, basically. And everyone's in on it except for obviously Wanda and Vision, basically. But
Exactly.
that's the vibe that those things set off. And as we got deeper into the episodes, we were starting to see little Easter eggs and things like the helicopter. The helicopter was in color. They were still in black and white, like Pleasantville kind of deal.
Just like Pleasantville, yes. But not only was it in color, but it was Iron Man's colors.
There you go. Ooh, I love that. See, this is why I waited for you to do this with me. I wanted to do it by myself, but I wanted you to do this with me because I knew you were gonna be with me on this. They had the little mini commercials. The commercials were cool. The toaster had the Iron Man sound. It had the repulsor sound.
I had looked down for like a second just to see, like, somebody texted me and I was like, oh, who texted me? And then I heard it and I was like, huh?
Like, hey, is Iron Man in this? Type shit. They were really subtle. They were so subtle with everything that they did. On the helicopter, there was a sword symbol. And sword, if you don't know sword is basically shield of space, basically. So in space, there's a police of space. And at the end of Far From Home, we got to see Nick Fury just kicking it in space. What's he doing up there? That adds a little bit of connective glue. Obviously, Nick might be chilling with sword. Nick is doing his thing, kicking it with the Skrulls, doing his sword thing. You know what I'm saying? So seeing that lets me know that that's alluding to that in the future. So I was a happy little Marvel camper. I was like, okay, I see a sword symbol. We good. This is giving it the connective glue that I need. Little subtle touches, the repulsor sound from the toaster, the Strucker name on the watch, you know, alluding to Strucker, like everything. Like I was seeing, I was like, okay, this is extra comic booky, but they're not like beating you over the head with it. Like they're not expecting you to have read all of these comics, but they're just basically letting you know, hey, y'all chill, we got you. All you Marvel people, we got you, but we're also making this for our MCU people, the general audience. Like we want them to also
the ones who see a movie every once in a while, or they hear about what happened in that movie, this movie, or with this character, and and I feel like for that specific audience, it was like, okay, I'm confused. Like, why am I supposed to like this?
Yeah.
What's going on? Did this happen in any of the other movies? And I was texting a friend at the same time I was watching it for the first time. I'm like, just give it a chance. Just give it a chance. Like, just watch. I think I was like maybe 15 minutes ahead of him by the time he had started watching. I'm like, just watch, just pay attention. Just watch.
Just let it do what it's gonna do. Once it does what it needs to does, you'll be fine. I think this one,
let it happen.
I think this one, this is gonna be one of those people are just impatient to get to the dessert. You know, they want their entree, they want their dessert, they want all of that like right at front. And they're basically giving you samples and samples until it's time for the main course. And a lot of people ain't used to that, you know. And of course they're used to a whole lot of Marvel action, and this did not deliver on that. So the first automatic reactions was whack, corny, terrible. I like, bro, it's 2 episodes, man. Like you gotta let this build.
Like, do you remember before Netflix and Hulu and anything else when we had to wait a week for each episode, and then here fully and behold they gave us 2?
Yes. Like, exactly. And it's tough.
The Netflix crowd got so used to having an entire season drops in one day, and boom, they binge it in one day, or they binge it in 2 days, or just a week, whatever, what have you. The only time I've ever binged in one day new season of anything or new series was in a series.
Oh man.
That's the only time
I'm guilty.
Started and finished it in one day.
I'm guilty of it though. I'm guilty of being that person. I'm guilty of that. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's a new series and I'm hooked and I'm ready, like, and I ain't got nothing to do the whole day, oh, game over. We're binging this whole thing.
And I'm exactly the same. However, with Marvel, because the major Marvel fans that we were already used to having a movie drop this year, a movie drop next year, maybe in 2 years. And we were so used to it already being out of the correct chronological order.
Right.
That I feel like you and me specifically anyway, were like, hey, it's only 2 episodes. That's fine. It's going to be 1 episode a week. That's okay.
Yeah. Well, I was okay with it, but I understand why people are not okay. You know, like, for the type of story that they're telling, it would have been nice if I could binge all of it. You know what I'm saying? Where I could be like, oh yeah, I gotta see where this is going. Like I would have took that journey that day. Like the minute I started it, I would have been like, yep, this is all I'm doing all of this today. Like I'm doing this secretly at my desk at work. I'm doing this today. I have another question for you. So which episode do you think you liked more? Did you like episode 1 or episode 2?
I feel like I like them both equally for different reasons.
Right.
So the first one, cute. They have a laugh track. It brought me back to when I was a kid and we first got cable. I think I was like maybe in 5th or 6th grade when we finally had cable.
Right.
And instead of watching all the new like Nick series or Disney shows or whatever, like I waited for Nick at Night to watch like the Brady Bunch and Three's Company and like all the shows I was already used to watching. So it kind of brought me back to that, made me feel a little bit more at home and everything. It was cute. The dumb jokes I laughed at.
And that's what they were. That's what they were.
Another reason why I loved it was because, hello, Kitty is in it.
Oh man, Kitty! You know what's really messed up? I really wanted the husband to be Red Foreman. It should have been Red Foreman. It should have been him. Like that dude is hilarious. Like if they would have made like that them just be a couple again. Oh man, that would have already made that episode pristine for me. Pristine.
But I also really liked the second episode a lot because it kind of reminded me more of like I Dream of Jeannie.
Yes.
Bewitched.
Absolutely. I Dream of Jeannie and Bewitched is the perfect example.
And side note, 6th grade, I Dream of Jeannie for Halloween. I did the whole
snap.
And everything.
You did the or Bewitched was she'll do the nose, right? Yeah, that was my trait too. Yeah. She was so cute in that show. I love that show. Jeannie's the one that served master. I love that. I love all of that.
Oh, it was so cute. But then it also started bringing back more of like that when the helicopter flies into the bush and like, they, the very beginning, they're like, oh my God, what's that noise outside? They realize it's just like the tree branch banging up against the window. And she brings their beds together and makes it an entire bed. I was like,
Yep.
Girl.
Exactly. First off, she was spicy in episode 1 because they didn't remember what the date was, and she was like this. Oh, it's our anniversary. We knocking boots tonight. She had the R&B ready. She had she didn't even make dinner. She's like, I am the dinner tonight. He was like, what is you doing? Hey, don't get me wrong. You look banging. But nah, not right now.
The appetizer, the main course, and the dessert, and the drinks.
Definitely.
But
that's
with the second episode, you kind of get a little bit more insight into like what may or may not happen. And I don't know if this is going to be kind of a spoiler alert or what, but after watching the second episode, it's clearly in a different decade.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of more like color is like coming into it, like the helicopter, for example, when that like naggy neighbor that's part of like the HOA of our day.
Yeah.
She cuts herself and she starts bleeding and you actually see it in red the very end. They're all in color and everything.
Yep.
That's what makes me think each episode is probably going to be in a different decade.
Which I think that's the vibe that they're going for. And I think it's a good vibe.
I definitely hope that's what they do because especially with like each decade had like a major type of family sitcom.
Right.
And they're kind of going with that.
Right.
Love it. Marvel, if that's really what you're doing, keep it up.
Yeah, it's happening.
But then also like making me feel like, is this what happened during the blip?
Ooh, I like the way you think. So I got a theory. I got a theory, but I like where you're going with your theory.
So could this be like Wanda and Vision finally like getting together, having their happily ever after during the blip? Because Vision is gone entirely in Endgame. And even I said, she tells Thanos, "You took everything from me." Is
Right.
this right before she gets called back?
Right.
But then when she's during like with that in the middle of the neighborhood meeting, whatever, for the talent show, she hears the radio and she hears like radio static. Wanda, what happened to you?
Who's doing this to you?
It could be this to you, exactly. Like, tell me who that sounds like.
All right, so I had two people it sounded like to me. One, it sounded like Rhodey. I was like, yo, that sounds like Rhodes a little bit. It sounds like James Rhodes. Second voice, I couldn't make it out completely, but it sounded like it could have possibly been like, who did I think it was originally the first time? Because somebody like kind of spoiled it for me, but not in a bad way. Like they told me who they really thought it was, and I was like, "Ooh, that's a good idea." But honestly, I'm gonna have to go with James. I'm a really honestly think it was War Machine. It sounded like him the most.
So the first, like, I like rewound it 100 times almost.
Yeah.
Because at first I thought, "Is that my man? That
Is
cat?"
that my boo? Is that my boo?
It like hearing it the first time, I was like, "Wait, like, is it Steve or is it not?" And
Steve,
then
Steve's chilling with Peggy. He ain't got nothing to do with that bullshit.
no, but like just I don't know. I thought it sounded like him, so I replayed it, and then I thought it was Rhodes too. But the more and more that I replayed it, the more I was like, all the voices of the people that I thought it could be started kind of like meshing into one. Like I feel like I kind of ruined it for myself because of how many times I replayed it in a row. So I don't know. That is exactly what made me think that all of this is happening during the blip.
It could be happening during the blip, or I think her powers are becoming different now. Obviously, in the comics, she's so powerful to the point where she can alter reality, and they've already told us that this is going to tie into Doctor Strange at some point. Okay. So I feel like she's stuck in some type of pocket reality, or somebody has trapped her in a pocket reality, and they're obviously watching her, which they did show that she's being observed. Yeah. She's being watched. Now, what's happening, what we're seeing, could be what's inside of her head. It doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is doing it to her. She could be doing it to herself, because we know Vision is gone. We know Vision is dead. So there's no way Vision should be alive. You know what I'm saying? So what we're seeing seems to be some type of fabrication, or it might be reality altered, or it could be a result of the snap, and that's the Infinity Gem that normally affected her powers to begin with. It could be affecting her now in a different way. Now that these things are either they're scattered, you already done messed with time, so now things are just not the way it's supposed to be, period. And it's affecting her now. Now it's having a messed up effect on her. So that was where I was at. It's either happening inside of that blip, or it's happening immediately after Endgame, and we are seeing an alternate reality. This is something that is not even a real thing, and it's just her doing it. It's a projection that she's creating, and she doesn't know how to get herself out of it. She's stuck into it, basically. Yeah, that's my ultimate theory. And I don't want to get too geeky, but it could be Mephisto. It could be anything. It could be a comic book villain that's doing it. It could be Sword doing it. You know what I'm saying? It could be anything. But I know one thing. It could be her. She could be the villain of the story. It could be her doing it.
And that's why I am so excited to do this mini episode after each WandaVision episode, is because I really want to see how our opinions and our estimations of what's going to happen and why it's like this, how all of that progresses.
It's going to progress, and I think it's progressing nicely too, because episode 2 was my favorite, and it was my favorite because it was so corny. Like, Vision got the gum stuck inside of him, and they were doing all of that. But I got to start seeing the characters interact a little bit more. You got to meet Geraldine. You got to meet the neighbor, speaking it with her, and the neighbor almost was telling her clues, like, try not to act like yourself. or
Yeah.
you want to get cool with Dottie. Dottie is who you want to be cool with. And Dottie had an attitude the whole time. So it's almost like she's telling her, if you want this reality to stay good, you need to do all of these
Yeah.
things.
You
Once
need
you start
to
becoming too woke, then the reality is probably going to bend or something.
exactly. And then another thing that you mentioned, like she's being watched, like the very end of the episode where they're like suddenly fast or outside and she sees like somebody coming out of the manhole and he looks at her and she's like, no.
Oh, the
And
beekeeper. Yeah. The
they
beekeeper.
rewind. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
That was wild. That one was wild. That was
And
real
another
wild.
thing with everybody kind of maybe like, oh yeah, there's something definitely going on with them. The magic show. This was
Right.
one of my favorite parts is when they have that lady like suddenly appear in the box and she's like, I don't understand. Like she's figuring them out little by
Yeah.
little. I don't know what happened. I was, here and then suddenly I was in the box. Like, how
Right.
did you guys? Oh, a magician never reveals his tricks. He
Mm-hmm.
leaves it up to the assistant. She goes, oh, and this assistant's not talking. Like that, she knows something's up with them. She knows she's trying to get it out of them, and
There
I'm
is
really
more
looking
to
for it.
there's more to Geraldine. I know, and I know it's coming only because I'm just me. But I know Geraldine is gonna turn into something different, and I'm anxious to see what they do with her character because I know it's gonna build into something really good. And then obviously, ultimately, the last reveal of everything turns into color, and she got the little bump. she got the kitty bump.
I know.
Now they're incapable of having kids, so she obviously magically manifested children just now. So
No,
and she's
but
going to more in
we'll
the comics.
see.
So that's what I'm saying. Like this is interesting because now we are going into, I guess, what you want to say. We're going into the 60s and the 70s now.
Well, I feel like we're going more into the 70s because, like, even though like a color television was technically invented in like the 30s, it wasn't like a real household item until like between the 50s and 70s.
Right. Nobody really was copying color TVs until,
Exactly.
until that time. Yeah. So
And,
mostly
and
every show was like that. Yeah.
yeah, and I feel like the second episode was a little bit more mid 60s
Right.
than it
Like we
was
were
like
almost there. We're on the cusp of having color, but we're not
so
there yet. Like we're like the I Love Lucy right before it turns into the Lucille Ball show. Like it's right there. It's
yeah.
about to cross over kind of deal.
So going back a little bit to when you said how Wanda is like super powerful,
Right.
you see that immediately because she's already like, throwing dishes at Vision by accident and like
Mm-hmm.
putting them back together. The
Yeah.
whole dinner that she's creating, she's just like,
Yeah.
like everything's in the air. She
And
brings the
I think that
out
this is
with her
gonna
power.
showcase new powers. So I think we're gonna see her do new
But
powers.
but it's not until like the first episode, what do you see? Vision turn into like human,
Yeah.
But then the second episode, his powers did kind of escalate a little bit because he like lifts himself up for the magic act and she's
Yeah.
like, oh crap. And then
Mm-hmm.
like makes like a rope and pulley to make it
Right.
look like how he got up there. So that's another thing that I'm guessing is going to happen. The more episodes we get, the more his powers are going to get even better.
Right, exactly. Which, by the way, they're holding back. They already alluded to that. They said, "Look, we can't be us. We have to make it. We have to blend. We have to blend in. So you can't walk outside like that. Put your face on, type shit. Like you know what I'm saying? Like basically, like we can't be us. We can't do all of this stuff that we're doing right now. We can do this behind closed doors, but we can't do this obviously out in the public. Nobody can see us using our powers, type stuff. So yeah, I thought it was good. It was a good vehicle for what's going on. And it's refreshing that both characters are superpowered because it's usually one, I can't let anybody know that my wife got powers or I can't, yeah. They're both basically superpowers, basically. And they're both hidden, from the world that they've been plunged into mysteriously They don't know why. They just know that they're just in this town and this is what's happening.
Yeah, exactly. Like they can't even remember why there's a heart over the number 23 on the calendar. Like they're
What
like,
day is this? What are we
exactly,
what are
like
we celebrating? Like
they were not there, and then suddenly they are
they were
married.
plunged
He's
into it.
over
And
the threshold into their home.
man, I love the fact that you said that. At what point did this thing begin? Like once again, my theory again.
Exactly. And I think Wanda, little by little, is going to start to remember like what's actually going on, why they're there, why everything is happening that's happening. And it, because she was already like, huh, in the first episode, but then the second episode is even more like there something's going on and I don't know what it is. I'm starting to maybe kind of remember, but
I think it's coming. It's coming. I think it's
that was
coming. And I think
amazing.
I'm hoping, I'm praying that episode 3 will allude to that. But I give it to episode 4. That's my threshold for, okay, you gotta show me something. Show me something where I know that the current MCU is still a thing. Like I need to know, like,
Well, the radio static, that is exactly what made me think like maybe this happened during the blip, like immediately after Thanos snap. Maybe this happened because she's having her happily ever after. And then maybe she gets brought back or whatever. And that's why she's saying you took everything from me.
oh,
She had everything.
I like that. I like that. See, I like that. I love that. I love that. Like, man, you pulled me. You done took this from me twice. I'm over here me and my boo, we pregnant, we chilling in the 70s, we got our crib, we got our little Brady Bunch house. So yeah,
I knew that jumping to conclusions would do me good one day.
Yeah, no. I like every assumption you have made. They have basically been plausible situations in which they can happen. Like it can all happen. It can all happen. But as always, you can find me on the movie page. I do talk on Turn Up the Music page as well. Turn my mic up, I should say. Selina's always at Back to the Classics page on the Facebook page. But where can they really find you? Do you want them to find you? You want people to find you?
Yeah, I guess.
Are you findable?
Yes, I am on Twitter at MexEgyptian, MEXIGYPTIAN.
Okay. All right. I am not on Twitter. I do not like to tweet, but I do enjoy how the Black Twitter. Yeah, I do enjoy the Black Twitter every once in a while, but you can definitely find me on Instagram at BKLV Negrito. I don't have a fan page yet on Facebook, which I already keep telling y'all. Y'all can actually hit me up at my regular page, Duval Brown, and I'm very approachable. I'll be on the Back to the Classics Facebook page and anything Beat Network related. This episode is done. We're going to watch the next episode of WandaVision, hopefully at midnight if we're not too tired. And we might be
28 minutes.
We might actually be right back with another episode in our review because we kind of are invested at the moment. We want to see where this is going. Yeah. So if you watch this obviously had a lot of spoilers. We should have told you spoiler alert in the beginning, but if you haven't watched it by now, you don't want to watch it. It's one of those kind of deals. Like if you're a real Marvel Studios MCU fan and you didn't watch WandaVision like literally last Friday,
shame.
Yeah, you're playing yourself. You're playing shame.
You played yourself.
You played yourself. Congratulations, you played yourself. Now, we're out. Peace out. And you know where to holler at us.